All right, this morning, thanks very much for joining me. And this morning, firstly, I'd like to say thank you to Matt Smith, who is the founder of Epic Soccer Training, who's joining him this morning. Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm just in Los Angeles, just enjoying the sun. So I hear you're in Australia.
Yeah.
Probably doing the same.
Yeah, well, it is winter here, but it is nice and sunny outside, so
All right.
it's good. So,
Right.
listen, firstly, thanks very much for joining me, and secondly, I'd like to say congratulations on developing Epic Soccer Training. I think it's I've been using it myself for my own game, but also helping teach my daughter's under 12 team, and I've found it really helpful. And yeah, can't thank you enough for developing it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you're using it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose just wanted to just run through some questions before we jump into the actual program itself. Really keen, I suppose, to find out a bit more about your background and I suppose your soccer education, if you like, sort of growing up. So yeah,
Sure.
what age did you start playing soccer?
I actually started playing soccer at about 4 to 5 years old. And usually in the States, your parents always throw you into a couple sports to try and figure out which one are you interested in.
Yeah.
So I played baseball a little bit. And believe it or not, broke my arm playing baseball.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And so I was like, well, it's kind of boring anyways. I'm kind of just sitting here. I need a little more action. So, they threw me into soccer as well. And so I started doing, rec soccer, where it's just very basic. At age probably 4, I started and then just started progressing from there. I'd rather kick a ball than wait around in a field. So it works well for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So, I mean, what were your skills like when you first started out?
When I first started out, I came from a pretty athletic family, but I'd say I was pretty average. I was just a little bit quicker because I was like this really tiny speedster. But yeah, as far as when you first start out playing soccer, I kind of think everybody's skills are pretty basic. They're at about the same level, and usually there's a specific age group where you can get to when, and you're probably experiencing that with your daughters right now. When they hit about 7, 8 is when you can really propel your skills, so you can kind of skyrocket them quickly. And then, from there on, it's as hard as you want to work. But I'd say, I started out pretty basic, pretty average. I didn't have any fantastic coordination or moves when I was 4. So.
Yeah. So, and what point did you sort of realize that you needed to start working on your skills?
Well, most of us are competitive by nature. So when I was playing in a rec league, you always want the ball more. You always want more playing time. You don't want to be the one that's sitting on the bench, obviously, because you're there to have fun.
Yeah.
So I started off pretty early where I was like, okay, I need to get better at soccer. But obviously, when you're 4, 5, 6, 7, you're not really sure how to do that other than just to be on a team.
Yeah.
So I started pretty early, but as we'll get into later on, I'll kind of tell you about when I really started to buckle down and know that I need to do a different kind of training.
Okay. And so what sort of stuff did you start working on when you were?
As far as individual training or I
suppose when you did start do that extra training, what were you doing?
Well, I noticed that the big jump for me was in between my freshman year in high school. So I would have been around 16 years old.
Okay.
And I was good, but I was really small. My driver's license, I was 5'2", So I was I don't know the age for the metrics, but that's tiny. I was a tiny guy, and I remember I was actually in a state championship soccer game. And we were playing against some of the guys from the Bolletary Academy. So it was DeMarcus Beasley from the World Cup team, some of the premier players from North Carolina that were coming down. It was a specific soccer school. So we played these guys, and we were about 80 minutes in. We were down 4-1, and finally the coach was like, all right, I'll just put everybody in now just to get some experience. And it was kind of heart-wrenching for me that I felt like I was really good, in my mind, but I was tiny. And I remember at the end of the game, and the coach was a really good friend of mine too. He told my parents, he's like, he was just too small. Like everybody else was huge, and that was like the most gut-wrenching thing. I was like, no, like it's soccer. You shouldn't have to be a huge guy. So on the off season, after I heard that, I was like, I need to do something different, because obviously just going to practice is not going to get me any better skills than the rest of my teammates around me and the other players that are also going to practice from other schools. So I had to do something drastically different. I got my hands on anything I could. I talked to my coach. I talked to a bunch of my other club coaches that I had in the past, and they kind of told me, you need to work on individual specific training and work on your skills. And once you boost those up, it's only going to boost the people around you as well when they want to know, hey, how did you get so much better? And I went from being a freshman non-starter to a first-team all-state player in my sophomore year. So by the next season, I was voted, by all the coaches, and I was like one of the leading scorers in the league, and I got all these MVP awards for tournaments, and it was only one season, So the individual training is one of the things that I definitely harp on in the program. It's what its central focus is, because you can go to practice all you want, but you're never going to get better than the person that's next to you. Obviously, you can work harder, but the drastic difference between, what I teach in Epic Soccer Training and what most coaches teach, it's light years ahead, because so many coaches are just like, well, let's just line up, let's just do drills. They're more team-oriented, and which is great. There's a time and a place for that, but this is, if you want to take your skills to the next level, you need to do individual training.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely see that from my own experience over the last couple of years. I mean, I'm probably a bit different from your average customer, because I played at high school and haven't played for 15 years. And it was sort of standing on the sideline watching my daughter's team run around the last couple of years. I thought, I'd really like to lace on the boots. So
yeah, believe it or not, I get a lot of people that are in your shoes.
Yeah,
they want to lace them back up. They have kids, and they're like, I want to play with my kid, and teach them how to do, just to improve, and so they take it from there. But it's not that uncommon to see people like you. I'm just happy that you're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's great. But I think so last year, first year back in 15 years, and I'd played, and I don't think I was a great player when I first started in high school, but I never had the coaching that you've sort of gone through in the program. I'm just, and I can see, having watched both the training with my team, which is pretty non-existent, but also the training with my daughter's team, where it's exactly the same. It's the team drills. You get to touch the ball for 5 minutes out of an hour, and I can see that with the program that you're doing, it is about developing those individual skills. And I can say, I've been doing some extra work myself outside of my own team training, and so I was probably faster, or certainly for my age group, probably a bit fitter and faster than some of the other people. So I was in the team from that point of view, but my skills were probably lower than some of the other guys. So I've really been working on that, and I can say it's definitely been helping with my performance. So
yeah, it's shocking how fast you can improve if you're doing the right training.
Yeah,
like you're saying before, you can lace up the boots, you can do dynamic drills, which is what we teach in the course, and the control in your first touch can improve so fast. Wayne Rooney, most people know he's one of the best players in England, one of the top strikers. He got interviewed. They said, "What's the one thing that you should improve on?" And he was like, "It's your touch, but more specifically, it's your first touch."
Yeah.
Most people don't realize, and that's something that we teach a lot in the program. I'm sure if you are teaching your daughters, come on, get that first touchdown. And one of the reasons why people need to understand that is your first touch can open up a lot more avenues, a lot more places to play. You can become a playmaker because if you get your first touchdown quick, you have more time to kind of survey the field. Not that you should get the ball and then think of what to do, but if you're spending 2 to 3 touches trying to settle a simple ball, by that time the defense has collapsed on you, and then you're going to rush to try and make a pass that you might not be able to make.
Yeah.
So first touch is definitely huge.
No, absolutely, and I've seen that. I've still got a bit to improve, but I've definitely seen that in my own game that actually improved.
Everybody does, but it's soccer's a game of learning. So
yeah.